Hello, NASDAQ followers, and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Bell. I'm your host, Leanne Alfaro, and joining me today ahead of the closing bell, we have the CEO of Dyadic International, Inc. We're going to help make healthcare accessible and affordable for patients. We have sitting next to me right here CEO Mark, as well as Matthew Jones, Chief Commercial Officer. Thank you so much both for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having us, Leanne.
So you're just telling me a little bit more about your business based in Jupiter, Florida, 40-year history, C1 technology, and on this journey to go from jeans, aka the jeans you wear, to jeans, G-E-N-E-S. So tell us a little bit more about that campaign as well as the history.
Yeah, so I started the company in 1979, selling pumice stone and pioneering the stone wash blue jeans, jeans you wear, to make them soft and more fashionable, more comfortable. And then through that process, enzymes came into play, became a distributor for a large enzyme company. Then we decided to make our own enzymes when the wall fell in Russia in 1990. And we hired 35 Russian scientists to go out and look for an organism that can make an enzyme to wash blue jeans. And that led to a long path of industrial biotech for over 2.5 decades, where we created enzymes with that platform to feed and fuel the world, like biofuels, greener, cleaner air, cellulosic ethanol. Small companies like BASF, DuPont, Shell Oil licensed that technology. Or in the case of DuPont, they ended up purchasing the industrial business for $75 million. And then we started to focus on the final frontier is to heal humankind and to do so more affordably. That kind of brings you to where we are today.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell us a little bit more about that void that we're trying to fill here with Dyadic. Where is the need, and how is this company serving it?
I think one of the things we recognize is the cost of healthcare has been spiraling for many generations now. There's more of us on this planet of ours. We're all living longer. And so the cost of healthcare proportionately has risen. I think that's the first thing. The second thing is the current ways of making biologic drugs for medicines is very expensive. It's usually out of certain cell lines, and we have a rival cell line that's a workhorse platform, which we've proven industrially is very productive, very quick, very cheap to run. And so it made sense to us to apply that technology to the human healthcare space, as well as animal healthcare space too, which we've announced recently.
So you definitely transcend a lot of industries here.
Yeah, so I mean, basically we're agnostic to the disease, whether it's cancer, diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, etc. You just put a gene in, out comes the product. And as Matt pointed out, we made things at massive levels, industry at very low cost, large scale. And in the pharmaceutical industry, they make small amounts of expensive things. It's kind of a clash of cultures here.
Right, right.
And so we really want to disrupt healthcare in a way that really just completely brings affordable healthcare to the masses on a global basis.
Now, brings us to today and the partnerships that you're getting ramped up today. You have a new partnership with the Serum Institute of India, which is very unique from others that you've done. Something notable about this institution, it is one of the world's low-cost vaccine producers. Talk to us about the significance of that and what this partnership means.
So the Serum Institute of India is one of the largest vaccine producers on the planet. And to your point, they're probably one of, if not the lowest cost vaccine company on the globe. And so they say about 60% of the children in the world have been vaccinated at one point or another with a vaccine from the Serum Institute. They work with the World Health Organization, the Gates Foundation, IAVI. So when we met with the Serum, they were looking for how do they fulfill their vision of bringing even lower cost healthcare to more people. And in order to do that, they needed a more productive cell line. So to reduce the cost of goods even further than what they were doing. And we think between what we have and what they have, 2 + 2 will equal 24 in this case, and just dramatically bring the cost down, and then obviously bring healthcare affordable really globally, and that's the goal.
That's fantastic. And how long does this partnership extend? What do you see the results being of the partnership?
You want to go there?
Well, we have, this is one of our collaborations over many years. This will deliver on certain milestones we've agreed, of course, as two companies together. We hope to announce further updates later this year on that agreement and other agreements too. I think what's really cool about C1 as a platform is its wide applications. So vaccines is obviously a proven area. We've made flu with Sanofi Pasteur. We've now announced this collaboration with the Serum Institute, and we hope to announce others, of course. But that's just one sort of vertical. We're also very engaged with oncology therapeutics, where you need lots of mAb for drug treatment. We obviously can reduce the cost of goods in that space, and that's very exciting to us too. We've also made a range of other biologics that play to other types of disease indications, and so that sort of allows our platform to be widely applicable to a whole range of healthcare unmet needs, enabling companies that couldn't previously express genes of interest, whether it be because of a productivity issue or just Mother Nature. And so C1 is really a very viable alternative platform now to those companies.
And I think in addition to that, you know, we've demonstrated with the European Union, we're involved in a program called ZAPI, Z-A-P-I, and that's from zoonotic diseases from animals to human. And they talk about 50 to 60% of actually the diseases that get spread come from animals. And there their goal was to make 100 milligrams, and we're making 1,730 milligrams, so 17 times the amount with this technology. So bringing this power of industrial biotech and adding it with synthetic biology, which is kind of like Moore's Law on steroids, you know, we really have the potential to really deliver on what the Gates Foundation and others have been trying to do for decades, is actually make healthcare affordable globally, and that's really what we want to do. That's our goal.
Now, you brought up Moore's Law, and it's good that you bring that up because a lot of experts say that you're in a field that moves at a faster speed than Moore's Law. It is very fast-paced, very fast-changing genomics and biotech. What kind of opportunities and maybe even challenges does that present, and how is Dyadic ready to address those?
Well, I think the good thing is that we spent 2.5 decades creating this beast, right? This very productive cell line for industrial products. So we come into the pharmaceutical industry in a way that is productively so far ahead of where they're at, you know, from a production standpoint. So when you take Moore's Law and you combine synthetic biology with all of that, the world's your oyster. And so if we plant, you know, sort of sand in a little oyster, you get a black pearl, a red pearl, a green pearl. So the values that we can create across the spectrum, not only in just therapeutics, one of the areas we're looking at and exploring now in addition to that is AAV viral vectors, gene therapy, which you hear a lot about. So when we started this transition 3 years ago, that wasn't even on our radar screen. But now they're having, again, the same issues. Too high cost, inaccessibility, unaffordability. And so if you have a biological cell and you can implant it with DNA, you can virtually create hundreds, if not thousands, of new products to bring the cost of disease and healthcare down.
So it definitely seems like a timeless model and timeless issue to be addressed.
Yeah, but we need partners. And in addition to the Serum Institute, we're working with Sanofi, which is the 5th largest pharmaceutical company. We're working with Mitsubishi Tanabe Pharma. We're working with the Israeli Institute of Biological Research. In that case, it's more of for biodefense, pandemics, epidemics. So, you know, all these things that everybody sort of puts on a shelf, somebody better be prepared, because someday we might have to deal with that. And we think our technology will help speed the development and lower the cost so we can protect more people.
Absolutely. Now looking 5 to 7 years down the road, and maybe that's too long of a time to look forward to, given that this field moves so fast. Where do you see Dyadic playing a role in the biotech industry? What kind of influence will they have?
Well, we're being approached now as part of panels for thought leadership around the next 5 years. So we certainly see unmet needs being addressed, whether that be rare diseases or orphan diseases that couldn't previously be enabled due to a cost issue. We're also seeing the rapid deployment of vaccines in areas or countries that previously may have struggled to have used a less robust cell line. So there's lots of those activities going on. I think more widely we're working with our biopharma companies who have very loud lobbying voices with regulators and also with charities and with trusts to look at much bigger programs. And we can't disclose all of those, but we certainly can lead you to guess that we have a very strong passion here to, of course, build a very successful, strong company with strong verticals that we can carve out non-exclusively or exclusively in the future. We can also look at spinning out certain IP. We can also deal with royalties or license arrangements, of course, on a case-by-case basis. But what drives that as a team, I think, is the passion we have for really bringing down the cost of healthcare and allowing people that couldn't afford vaccines or medicines previously the opportunity to do so.
Well, and a couple other points I'd like to make. So, you know, orphan diseases get fast-track status with the FDA. So if you have an orphan drug, you can speed up, maybe it's a 5-year process instead of a 10 or 12-year process. And so we view that if you can, it's a great thing to have an orphan disease cure because it's 500 to 1,000 patients. But by taking a new technology like C1, we think we want to work with governmental agencies and the FDA to get orphan drug status on new technologies that speed the development. They can save 100 million lives.
Wow.
Because if you're not getting access to a cure, whether it's an orphan disease or it's cancer or it's diabetes, what's the difference? So we think all lives matter, and we think that we need to work with the government to get different status, to fast track new technologies, to your point, to take advantage of Moore's law, synthetic biology. And so those are some of the things we're working on when you talk about the 5 or 10 year plan. We need to change the game. We need to think outside the box. And I think that, we think dyadic outside the box, because how do you go from genes to genes? Blue genes to genetic genes. It didn't just happen. We had to have innovation, and we're always innovating. We're always looking at the future and where it's going and getting ahead of the curve. And the last thing I'd like to talk about is, in addition to all those things, this is a platform. This isn't cure cancer, go broke biotech story. When you're one strike, you're out. This is shots on hundreds, if not thousands, of possibilities. But in order to do that, we have to partner with big pharma, biotech, and other companies to develop these types of products. So it's not just about dyadic, it's about putting dyadic 2+2 with big pharma, big biotech, agencies, et cetera, to just bring all this to the forefront so that people can actually get treatments that they otherwise would not get.
Absolutely. Such a multifaceted company, and we're really excited to see what you take on next, the partnerships that you embark. Thank you so much for being here today. I know that we're getting ready for the closing bell right now. So with that, Mark and Matthew, thank you so much for joining us on Behind the Bell, and we'll see you downstairs in just a bit.
Great. Thank you very much.
NASDAQ followers, please stay tuned for the closing bell streaming live right here from Facebook in just a few minutes.